Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
What is up, Cavs fans? Welcome to a Coffee and Cavs here on a Sunday morning, checking in with our beloved Cleveland Cavaliers. Skylar Webker, I am Kevin Lynch. Skylar, we only got one game to talk about, but some Cavs news to talk about. Kind of the biggest news being Jarrett Allen is finally returned for our beloved Cavs.
Absolutely. It's good to see the sum of the pieces coming back together. And though on minutes restriction, you could tell the impact of Jarrett Allen. The most ethical basketball you could ask for. 18 minutes, 18 points, plus 18. I don't know how more ethical you could get out of that.
Yeah, I got the numbers here from Yahoo Sports. Terry Pluto wrote an article just a few days ago, and I had to do a little bit of math to add some recent games to it. But all time, the Cavs record since Jarrett Allen was traded from the Brooklyn Nets in the 21-22 season, the Cavs are 29-37 without Jarrett Allen, about a 45% win percentage, and they're 159-97 with Jarrett Allen, about a 66-67. So they win, I don't know, a third more of their games when they have Jarrett Allen versus when they don't. He's a guy who's received a lot of criticism. At times, some of it, some of it a little bit fair, but a lot of it definitely overblown, and him being a lightning rod for certain problems the Cavs have had, particularly in the playoffs. But the simple fact is this team is significantly better when he's in the lineup.
Absolutely. And it was super great to see how, because we saw kind of a forced pressure or not great kind of chemistry between James Harden and Evan Mobley. So it was great to see how Evan Mobley could use the off of James Harden and Jarrett Allen to create and facilitate without kind of needing that force nature. I mean, James Harden had a great night assisting to both of these guys, as well as some of the other shooters around him. But you could tell that just having the two bigs back, those two know how to play with each other, and then adding James Harden, who can get these guys the ball, definitely, like, I was confident or encouraged after this game.
Yeah, and you saw it right away in that first shift that the starters did, and the starters were those big four, and Sam Merrill was the fifth starter tonight. Still no Jalen Tyson or Dean Wade, but that first shift to the first just over 5 minutes of the game before Donovan Mitchell's when Donovan Mitchell came out, just over 5 minutes of the game, they're up 21-8. Jarrett Allen had 8 points, 3 of 3 shooting. Mobley had 5 points, 4 rebounds. Harden had 3 points and 3 assists. So you didn't have to wait very long to see those four play together and play really well. That I think previous to this game Friday night, they had been in the lineup together 37 minutes total since the James Harden trade. So it was great to see not only the Cavs kind of ran away with this game from halftime at least, but in no time they came out, and you worry about like fitting these four pieces together with whoever the fifth guy is going to be, and it looked seamless.
Yeah, it definitely looks seamless. Not so much like the greatest shooting night from Donovan Mitchell. I mean, 1 for 10 from the floor, but everybody else around him really, really, worked seamlessly. And we talked about how we had a lot of not encouraging wins in a row, just playing poorly against poor teams. Wins are still wins, but I would say this was a great encouraging win. Not that Miami's like a world beater or anything, but you just kind of lost to them the night before, or 2 nights before, whatever, the game before. So to have these pieces come together, you see the rhythm, it gives you glimpses into like, man, if they can do something like this in the playoffs, look out. Because, I mean, Donovan Mitchell isn't going to shoot 1 for 10 every game. So, a little bit more encouraging heading into the final stretch here.
Yeah, and one thing I looked for was how different does this team look on the defensive end with both Mobley and Jarrett Allen? I mean, there's been two schools of thoughts that this team is not playing good enough defense, even if you reinsert Jarrett Allen to prosper in the playoffs. And some people said just wait till he comes back. I think you saw a little bit of each. They still gave up 128 points in this game, but having Mobley and Allen back, the first thing I look for is what kind of night did Bam Adebayo have? And Bam, well, he recently scored 83. He's not the necessarily the biggest scorer in the league, but he is a very efficient offensive player most of the time. In this game, 3 of 14 from the field, with those two guys guarding him virtually the entire time the game mattered. The first three, little over 3/4 of the game. So, I mean, Bam was still impactful. He had 16 rebounds. The rebounding, if I remember correctly, was like pretty much dead even. Yeah, Cavs are +1 in rebounding with these guys back. Again, this was a game that the Cavs were up 22 going into the fourth quarter, and so I wasn't. And they're up 30 at halftime. So you can only take so much from a game like this, but like what you can take out of it is how positive everything looked, with these two bigs back, with Harden being able to play more the facilitator, and with kind of the different role guys. Again, two key role guys in Wade and Tyson still not playing tonight, but it seemed like there was a bunch of role guys that like kind of looked like they settled into roles a little bit more, most namely Sam Merrill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of the role guys, Sam Merrill settling in, not having to do as much as he's probably been asked to do. But I love the what he's given the team. I mean, you can't talk about this game and talk about role players and not talk about Max Strus's ungodly shooting on the night. He was 8 3-pointers, 10 of 14, giving you eight rebounds as well. He was drinking Miller Lights in his post game interview, so feeling the offensive energy from Max Strus in this game.
Yeah, the Miller Lite was the only thing Max Strus did wrong, in this game. But no, he was incredible. It's been a very mixed bag with Max so far. I mean, it's certainly great to have him back in general. And he came back in that first game back. It was like this game. He just came out and he was on fire. He couldn't miss, and he comes to the game and hits 3 or 4 threes in the first quarter. And the game since, Max, frankly, has struggled quite a bit with his shot. So it was good to see him get going. He's still very much rounding into form. You can see he doesn't look as athletic or as quick, or especially lateral movement on defense, I think, is still coming back to him. But yeah, obviously, not only if he shoots like this, I mean, but he can still be a contributor on this team, and it's another guy you throw in the lineup, and if he has it that night like Max did on Friday night, you can ride it.
Yeah, I mean, we also talked about on Wednesday's game not getting enough contribution from the bench in the meaningful minutes. I'm not counting garbage time minutes from players in this, but the bench gave the Cavs nearly 60 points in those meaningful minutes between Max Strus, Keon Ellis, Thomas Bryant, and Dennis Schroeder. That'll get it done. I mean, if you can get 60 from a 4-man bench, I mean, that feels sustainable. I mean, they're probably not sustainable. Not every night are you going to have incredible shooting like this, but I would say having that contribution to the game definitely helps. Like, I know I keep coming back to it, but it didn't even feel like you needed Donovan Mitchell, because you really didn't have Donovan Mitchell in this game. So to put up the numbers that they did in the way that they did, it feels great. And a comment on the Max Strus kind of defensive movement and stuff. I'm okay if you're a step behind. If you have Thomas Bryant, Jarrett Allen, Naquan Tomlin, and Evan Mobley, kind of the second ring of defense, so that guys aren't getting clean layups, that part I'm okay. I can live with. It's whenever you don't have those guys, and the Cavs have frankly not had those guys in good stretches of the season, where you really see the weakness of the poor lateral movement around James Harden, Max Strus, guys like that.
Yeah, I see. I understand kind of what you're saying. They can clean up a lot of stuff at the rim. The bigger problem for the Cavs has been the opponent's 3-point shooting, and the
Yeah.
fact that the Cavs are, I mean, by the numbers, like I think this is since the trade deadline, they're the worst 3-point defense in the NBA. So I don't know how much. Mobley and Allen can't stop that from happening. They can help a little bit to give them a little bit more confidence to overplay, but a lot of it is like execution and effort on the defensive end, and the lineup rotations, right? So you know, in this game, I will say the Cavs 3-point defense was good. They're 15 of 46, 33% shooting. The Heat aren't necessarily the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA, but they did light up the Cavs on Wednesday night, just before they shot 40% and hit 18 threes in that game. So one game in, with Mobley and Allen back, 3-point defense is a little bit better. It's definitely something I'm going to look at coming up, in some of these games coming up on the schedule, which we'll get into in a second. But staying on this Miami game, who else did you kind of stood out to you in this game?
I'll go with Keon Ellis. Obviously our defensive Star Wars ticket, getting in the glue lanes and just being sticky. Pretty efficient night from him. 4 or 5 from shooting, 2 of 3 from 3. I wouldn't say like the largest impact and not the largest storyline in the game, but he just has that level of consistency that we have kind of been begging for as Cavs fans. Like, we want players that are consistent in night in and night out. Not a knock on Isaac Okoro or anything, but definitely was one of the things is that wasn't always a consistent night from him. So I love having Keon Ellis as that consistent guy, like night in, night out. He's going to get a steal, at least a steal, maybe a steal and a block, and put up some decent shooting for you, as well as change a couple of possessions in the game.
Yeah, Keon was solid. He wasn't necessarily kind of the story in this game, but because of the return of Jarrett Allen in the Big Four. But he is a guy who hopefully can now settle into a role. I feel like something different is being asked of him every game, especially how much they need him to contribute offensively, who they need him to guard, and everything. And I think that's one of the biggest things with a lot of these role players, and Keon Ellis maybe towards the top of that list, is if the Cavs are whole, or at least as whole as they're going to be in the playoffs, what are these individual guys' roles going to be? And while it's very important to get Jarrett Allen back and reacclimate him, Keon Ellis has barely played with Jarrett Allen. He played probably less than 10 games with Jarrett Allen before he got hurt and everything. So I think that's kind of a downstream effect of having Allen back, getting closer to full strength, that Keon can hopefully settle into a role that like maximizes what he can do for this team. And what I think he maximizes I think he's a very good spot up 3-point shooter. Decent cutter, but I don't know how much they're going to have him do that with Harden, Mitchell having the ball so much. But most importantly, on defense, just wreak havoc on defense. He is a very good point of attack defender against smaller guards, and he is an elite like off the ball defender. And can you get him in the lineup in certain matchups that maximize his ability to do that? And that's where he's a weapon that the Cavs haven't had for several years. And so I'm excited to see him, what he can do when his asks are more specific.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you put it great. Just that off the ball defense is something that the Cavs don't have outside of Keon Ellis, need more of. And I'm excited to see what this role of Keon Ellis is, because like you said, he's been asked to do so much since he's gotten here, just in injuries, and also probably Kenny just trying to figure out what he's got. So I'm excited to see the most consistent guy on this team having a consistent role, or a defined role within it too.
For sure. Before we get off this game and preview the next games, I want to talk about Evan Mobley, and I want to talk about what was on fire in Cavs social media lately, and that was the clip of Kevin O'Connor. If anybody doesn't know Kevin O'Connor, he's a national NBA pundit, was with The Ringer for a long time. He's now with Yahoo Sports. And I'm going to play for you some of his thoughts on Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley is the most overrated and disappointing player in all of the NBA. Year 5 with Evan Mobley right now, and he hasn't improved a lick as a post scorer. He hasn't improved a lick as an isolation scorer. He is still just as shaky of a three-point shooter and a free throw shooter as he was when he was a rookie. So disappointing that this guy has plateaued since he entered the NBA. And you might be able to say, if Donovan Mitchell wasn't absorbing so many touches, Evan Mobley would get more opportunities to handle on the perimeter. Evan Mobley hasn't earned those touches. You look at what he is defensively with what he can be. He's super versatile. He can switch. He can defend across positions, but he doesn't set a tone because he's soft. Because he might be a great defensive player, but he's not a tone setter. He's not a true defensive player of the year. He won that award because other guys didn't reach 65 games a la Victor Wembanyama, and other guys were, quote unquote, too.
All right. So, first of all, I want to talk about Kevin O'Connor before I talk about Evan Mobley. Kevin O'Connor is a disappointment, and I'll tell you why. He was a guy who was at The Ringer, like, co-hosting, filling in on other shows, the Bill Simmons podcast, and he was like a solid rotation player. Went out, tried to be on his own, and his podcast sucks and it tanks. And he tries to do these clickbaity things, and maybe we fed into it by playing his clip here. But basically, his whole gimmick is he goes very hard on a player, usually the players he likes in the draft. And Evan Mobley was a guy he loved in the draft. And then when Evan Mobley doesn't turn into the next Kevin Garnett, which is what Kevin O'Connor said he was going to do, Kevin O'Connor attacks him over and over again because, frankly, he was wrong. Evan Mobley wasn't wrong. Evan Mobley is a different player than the player he thought he would be. So anyway, that aside, talking about Evan Mobley, a couple of things in that. He would not have won Defensive Player of the Year last year if Victor Wembanyama got to 65 games. And no one else in the NBA is going to win Defensive Player of the Year for the next 12 years if Victor Wembanyama plays 65 games. It's just the reality. Victor Wembanyama is, at the very worst, the most destructive defensive force that has entered the NBA in 30 plus years. So there's no shame in saying Evan Mobley is a top 2, top 4, top 5 defensive player. He's a hell of a defensive player. We all know that. And hopefully with Jarrett Allen back, we can see the full impact of Mobley's defense because his versatility is his superpower on defense, all the different things he can do. According to the offense, like some things are wrong. I mean, one thing that's right is the free throw shooting has actually regressed. Like, I mean, I'll give him that. Like, that's really poor. But like, the truth is, Evan Mobley turned into a well above average 3-point shooter last year and the first part of this year. And then for whatever reason, his 3-point shot has tanked. And to his credit, he has kind of gone way down on his volume of threes and concentrate on getting to the basket. And we highlighted on our last podcast how he had, before this week, he had possibly the best 12-game stretch of his career offensively. He was averaging 21.5 points, 11 rebounds, shooting like 65% from the field, just absolutely incredible stuff. So it's a really mistimed rant by Kevin O'Connor if he is. And maybe he just saw the box scores the last 2 games where my biggest frustration was Evan Mobley not getting up shot attempts. He only got up like 15 shot attempts in 2 games when he's on this heater. That said, rounding into the Miami game, I thought he was fantastic in the Miami game. He had 23 points and 10 boards in less than 30 minutes played. Thought he was all over the place. And of all the encouraging things for Friday night, Evan Mobley was the most encouraging because we hadn't seen him, Jarrett Allen, and James Harden particularly on the floor hardly at all. And when we had, Evan seemed to be taking a back seat to the incredible pick and roll chemistry that Harden and Allen had. So to see Mobley excel at the same time, you know, Harden is playing the facilitator to the tune of 14 assists, as you said earlier, to Jarrett Allen being a super efficient 18 and 10 on 8 of 10 shooting. That was the most encouraging thing for me for Friday night. And honestly, the number one thing I'm going to look for with the Cavs, assuming all four of their main guys are playing here down the stretch of the regular season, how effective could Evan Mobley be? Can he be super effective offensively while the Harden and Allen pick and roll continues to thrive?
Yeah, I agree. That was the most encouraging thing. We kind of led into it, but seeing how he was able to play kind of off the chemistry of James Harden and Jarrett Allen's pick and roll game, because the other team knows that chemistry exists. So they're going to try to defend against it. And then James Harden's able to easily just get the ball, kick it out to Evan Mobley, who's right there kind of on the other side of the dunker spot. So back to Kevin O'Connor, though. So I agreed with you. Victor Wembanyama is an alien. We have never seen in our lifetimes, have never seen anybody like Victor Wembanyama, and we will never see anybody like him again. So take the outlier out of this.
Yeah. I mean, Wemby is in his own class, and then in whatever, however far down the second tier is, you got Mobley, you got Chet Holmgren, a couple other guys. There's nothing wrong with being in that second tier.
And the other part is, look what's being asked of Evan Mobley. He's being asked to be kind of these specific things versus, say, Kevin Garnett, who you want to compare him to when he was with the Timberwolves, where he was asked to do literally everything. He was asked to be a mid-range shooter. He was asked to score in the post. He was asked to be the relentless defensive end. Evan Mobley has the luxury where he's not asked to do all of those things. He's asked to be an impactful player and play within the system and core of this team. Kevin Garnett didn't have a James Harden, a Darius Garland, a Donovan Mitchell, a Jarrett Allen. I mean, the list goes on and on. He hasn't had that. So don't look at it in your, oh, he's going to be the next thing. And then when he doesn't, get all upset and tirade about it, versus look at the system and what is being asked of the guy. Agreed on the free throw shooting. It's been horrendous. It's been something that we've talked about a lot.
Right.
But look at the body of work he's been putting together of what is being asked of him and around him.
Yeah. And I love the Evan Mobley that we've gotten this month of March for the most part, where he's aggressively attacking the basket. I'm totally fine with him stepping out and taking 2-3 threes a game to stretch the defense, especially if he, gets his shot a little bit more true. But I said on the previous part, he looks even more athletic. He's like jumping from 10 feet from the basket, like double clutching on some of these dunks that I'm like, wow, he looks even more athletic than he has. And all this is to say, all this, there's a bunch of numbers that support what we say. You can cherry pick some numbers that'll support what Kevin O'Connor said. Evan Mobley's still only 24 years old. Like, he's not a finished product. And to say he is the same player as he was as a rookie is asinine. Like, when he was a rookie, he couldn't dribble. Like, so I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. We gave Kevin O'Connor enough shine on the show that it'll be the one and only time we do that. And we'll move on from this Miami game. Look ahead at the schedule. The Cavs Monday night, they start a West Coast trip in Utah. Here's my preview for the Utah game Monday night. Beat the Jazz. The Jazz are trying to lose. Beat the Jazz. You have anything to add to that?
Actively in an investigation around tanking by the league. So,
yeah,
they are trying to lose. So beat them.
Yeah. The other game that will come up before our next show is the Los Angeles Lakers. They play in LA. Of course, LeBron James is still playing and thriving for the Lakers. I think the Cavs, unfortunately, got a bad break for that game, and that Luka Doncic just picked up his 16th technical, which means he has a 1-game suspension for Monday night, their game Monday night. So he will get a night off and then come back against the Cavs on Tuesday nights, nice and rested. And frankly, he's been on maybe the biggest heater of his career. He's it's about a 10-12 game stretch where he's averaging well over 40 points a game, insane shooting. LeBron has settled into this uber impressive role player kind of thing, where he's only taking about 15 shots a game, but he's doing everything else. He's getting 18, 12, and 10 triple doubles all the time, and just kind of dominating the peripheries of the game without having to score too much. They have Austin Reeves back, who's healthy, who was not healthy when they played them earlier in the year. So, and all that's to say, the Lakers have been one of the best teams in the NBA this month. So that is going to be an incredibly challenging game. It makes it all the more important to take care of business in Utah Monday night, ideally in a blowout win, get some guys, some lower minutes like they got on Friday, and then kind of throw the ball out on Tuesday night and see what happens.
Yeah, out of the Cavs' remaining schedule, this is the only game that has real competition against. I know the Hawks are sitting in the 6th seed here in the East and have put together a decent season, but Golden State is like the 10th seed in the West. Memphis is not good.
Yeah,
Washington, not
this
good.
is their only game left against a top 4 seed in either conference. I'd push back a little bit and say Atlanta has been one of the better teams in the NBA since, frankly, trading Trae Young. They went from completely out of even the play-in picture to now they're neck and neck. I think they're tied for the 5th seed, so they're a very possible first round opponent for the Cavs. That being said, we'll stop it here with the Lakers game, and really exciting to watch. I mean, everybody knows like any time you play LeBron could be the last time you play LeBron, and how Cavs feel about it. So we'll definitely be tuning in to a very late game on Tuesday nights if you're so inclined. If not, catch it the next day. Skylar, anything to add before we start to wrap up?
Just one last thing on the Lakers game. I'm curious to see how this team steps up to LA fan. Obviously it's going to be a packed house, so you're going to have fan pressure. It's probably the closest thing to a playoff environment.
Mm-hmm.
The team's good, everything around it, a top 4 seed. Like you said, I'm curious how this team is going to perform under that in kind of a simulated playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm super interested to see how they guard Luka, because Luka is the type of player I think you have. Hopefully you have Dean Wade and or Jalen Tyson back. I think those are your best guys to match up with Luka, who you're never going to stop, but certainly want to make him as hard on him as possible. So no, I like that call out. But before we get out of here, on Sundays, especially when we say mean things about Kevin O'Connor and other things, we like to put one nice thing out on the internet. So Skylar, what's one nice thing you got today?
So yesterday, I took my family down to Cincinnati to go watch the Reds game. This kids opening day, so they had all the kids fanfare and all of that stuff. And just like I get in these modes of like, I'm fine staying at home, watching the game, whatever. And then eventually like drag myself out to go to the live games and just going to live stuff is so much better. Live games, live music, live everything, like support live events, because I know we as a country have always kind of divided around political stuff. We've gotten through COVID where everything was shut down. So just getting back out there and experiencing like live stuff again, like feels so good. And don't worry about the money. Don't worry about whatever thing else. Like the experiences as a family and experiences as an individual kind of outweigh really a lot in my eyes. So love going out and just live stuff again, man. Just being out in the nature and being out in the wild.
Yeah, no, that's a great call out. So for me, I've been trying to do this where it comes off as nice because that's what the segment is. But like, I don't mention on this show a lot because we talk about the NBA, but my other favorite sports league is the Premier League, and I have kind of settled into being a Tottenham Hotspurs fan because the one time I went over to London, that's the game I went to and did that. And watch, first of all, like if you haven't give soccer a shot, I think it's an incredible sport to watch. It's definitely one that's better live, as you said, but even watching on TV. But I will say the drama of the regulation system is one of the best things, if not the best thing in sports, because right now the hot topic is NBA teams tanking to get better draft picks. Let's be real, tanking happens in every American sport. It happens in baseball, it happens in football, where all of a sudden the third string quarterback is starting the last 2 games of the year, like to get a better draft pick. The relegation system is amazing. Like there is more drama against 2 teams at the bottom of the standings trying to not go down. Because if you go down to the league, contracts get voided, like, livelihoods like are changed. And it is absolutely thrilling. And it's something I think American sports could benefit immensely from setting up relegation systems. I mean, it'll never happen. God forbid billionaires risk losing any money ever. But and I bring that all up because they're getting towards the end of the Premier League season. So these fights to like who stays in the Premier League, who goes down to the Championship, are absolutely incredible. So if you're bored, and the games are usually early on Saturday mornings, if you're bored, look up, see what games are on, and if any of the games are on that is either fighting to actually win the Premier League or to stay out of the relegation system, they're absolutely compelling. So I would encourage anybody to give it a shot.
That's awesome. I do love Premier League soccer for the relegation system and everything, because like you said, it adds that like wrinkle and level to everything, and you just see the effort in wanting to stay in the league.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Thanks as always for listening, for subscribing on all of our social media platforms, on the audio version of this podcast, wherever you get podcasts. We will be back on Wednesday nights. We'll have a couple of games against the Jazz and Lakers by then, and then we'll preview the rest of the West Coast trip. So for Skylar Webker, I am Kevin Lynch. Thanks for tuning in, and as always,
go Cavs.